Do you know there's a US town where you can stand in 4 states at once? Or that one American national park contains enough hot springs to power a small country? How about the fact that the United States has more climate zones than any other nation on Earth? These are just a taste of the geographical wonders hiding in plain sight across America. Get ready as we count down 50 absolutely mind-blowing US geography facts that will make you see this country in a whole new light. Fact 50. The geographic center of the United States keeps moving. The geographic center of the contiguous United States is currently located near Lebanon, Kansas. But here's the thing. It keeps changing. When the original 13 colonies formed the country, the center was in Maryland. As more states joined and territories expanded westward, this center point moved steadily west. When Alaska and Hawaii joined in 1959, the geographic center of all 50 states shifted to a point near Belfort, South Dakota. And with changing coastlines due to erosion and rising sea levels, this point continues to shift slightly every year. Fact 49. America has its own Bermuda Triangle. While the Bermuda Triangle gets all the attention, the United States has its own mysterious region where strange disappearances occur. The Nevada Triangle in the Sierra Nevada mountains has claimed over 2,000 aircraft in the past 60 years. Covering approximately 25,000 square miles, it's known for strange weather patterns, magnetic anomalies, and military testing grounds. Even experienced pilots avoid flying through it whenever possible. The most famous disappearance? Billionaire adventurer Steve Fawcett in 2007. Fact 48. One American river flows north. Almost every major river in the United States flows south, but the Genesee River in New York defies this pattern. Starting in Pennsylvania, it flows 157 miles northward through New York until it reaches Lake Ontario. This unusual northward flow occurs because the river formed after the last ice age, when massive glaciers carved out the Great Lakes and determined the drainage patterns of the entire region. The river even features its own Grand Canyon of the East, with 550-foot deep gorges at Letchworth State Park. Fact 47. The Appalachian Mountains are older than dinosaurs. When dinosaurs first appeared 240 million years ago, the Appalachian Mountains were already ancient. These mountains began forming roughly 480 million years ago, making them some of the oldest mountains on Earth. Once taller than the Himalayas, millions of years of erosion have worn them down to their current size. For perspective, when the Appalachians were forming, North America was still connected to Europe and Africa and the supercontinent Pangaea. Fact 46. There's an entire underwater forest off Alabama's coast. About 60,000 years ago, a massive forest of cypress trees grew along Alabama's coast. When sea levels rose, this forest was preserved under sediment and seawater, creating a 60-foot deep underwater forest that spans nearly 1,000 acres. Hurricane Ivan in 2004 uncovered parts of this ancient forest, revealing perfectly preserved 50,000-year-old cypress trees. Marine biologists have found this underwater forest hosts over 200 species of fish and other marine life not typically found along Alabama's coast. Fact 45. America's oldest city predates Jamestown by over 40 years. Most Americans learn that Jamestown, Virginia, founded 1607, was America's first European settlement. But St. Augustine, Florida, was established by the Spanish in 1565, a full 42 years earlier. It's the oldest continuously occupied European settlement in the continental United States, with original colonial buildings and streets still in use today. The Castillo de San Marcos, built in 1672, remains the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. Fact 44. Rhode Island is 20% larger at low tide. America's smallest state gets significantly bigger twice a day. Rhode Island's official name is Rhode Island and Providence Plantations, with the Rhode Island part referring specifically to Aquidneck Island in Narragansett Bay. The state has over 400 miles of coastline despite being only 37 miles wide and 48 miles long. When the tide goes out, Rhode Island gains about 20% more land area than it has at high tide, the largest tidal difference by percentage of any U.S. state. Fact 43. The continental divide splits America's waters. Running along the crest of the Rocky Mountains from Alaska to Mexico, the continental divide separates the watersheds that flow to the Pacific Ocean from those that flow to the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans. A raindrop falling on the west side of this divide will eventually reach the Pacific, while one falling just inches away on the east side might end up in the Gulf of Mexico or the Arctic Ocean. Fact 42. The United States has more caves than any other country. With over 55,000 documented caves, the United States has more known caves than any other nation on Earth. The largest Mammoth Cave system in Kentucky contains over 400 miles of surveyed passageways, enough to stretch from New York City to Cleveland. And scientists estimate we've only discovered about 10% of America's caves so far. These subterranean systems provide crucial habitats for specialized species and contain some of the largest and most spectacular mineral formations on the planet. Fact 41. Manhattan Island is sinking. New York City's Manhattan Island is sinking at a rate of 1 to 2 millimeters per year. This is partially due to natural settling of the land, but primarily because of the immense weight of the city's skyscrapers. All those buildings, approximately 1.6 trillion pounds of steel, concrete, and glass, are literally pushing the island down into the bedrock and soft soil beneath it. Combined with rising sea levels, experts predict parts of Manhattan could be underwater by 2100 if major infrastructure changes aren't implemented. Fact 40. The American Southwest was once a tropical rainforest. The arid deserts of Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico were once lush tropical rainforests. Around 55 million years ago, during the Eocene epoch, this region experienced temperatures averaging 78 degrees Fahrenheit with over 150 inches of rainfall annually, comparable to modern-day Costa Rica. Fossil evidence shows palm trees, giant ferns, and primitive primates once thrived there. This dramatic climate transformation is one reason the Southwest contains such spectacularly colorful rock formations, as layer upon layer of different environments were preserved in stone. Fact 39. America has more geothermal features than any other country. Yellowstone National Park alone contains approximately 10,000 geothermal features. That's more than the rest of the world combined. These include geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles. The park sits atop a massive magma chamber that heats groundwater to create these features. Old Faithful may be the most famous, but it's just one of over 500 geysers in the park. The United States has over 17,000 geothermal features nationwide. Fact 38. The Great Lakes contain 20% of Earth's surface freshwater. The Great Lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario, contain 5,500 cubic miles of freshwater, representing 20% of all the surface freshwater on Earth and 84% of North America's surface freshwater. If spread evenly across the contiguous United States, this water would cover the entire country to a depth of 9.5 feet. Lake Superior alone contains enough water to cover all of North and South America in 1 foot of water. Over 40 million Americans and Canadians rely on the Great Lakes for their drinking water. Fact 37. The US-Canada border is literally cut through forests. The world's longest international border between two countries runs 5,525 miles between the United States and Canada. For much of its length, this border isn't marked by natural features, but by a 20-foot wide cleared straight line cutting through forests, fields, and mountains. This border vista is maintained by the International Boundary Commission, which regularly clears vegetation to keep the line visible. In some remote areas, the only indication you've crossed countries is this strange, perfectly straight clearing through otherwise dense wilderness. Fact 36. America has a magnetic mountain that pulls cars. At Spook Hill in Florida, cars seemingly roll uphill in neutral, not from magnetic forces, but a clever optical illusion. The landscape creates a false horizon that tricks your perception, with similar gravity hills, mystifying visitors at 40-plus locations nationwide. Fact 35. The largest living organism in the world is in Utah. Utah's Pando Aspen Grove is a single organism with 40,000 trees sharing one massive root system across 106 acres. Weighing 6,600 tons and possibly 80,000 years old, it's heavier than 35 blue whales combined. Fact 34. Death Valley's racetrack playa has moving rocks. Heavy rocks mysteriously slide across Death Valley's dry lake bed, leaving trails behind them. Scientists discovered the culprit in 2014. When morning sun melts thin ice, gentle winds push 700-pound boulders across the slippery surface. Fact 33. America has pink sand beaches. California's Pfeiffer Beach dazzles with purple-pink sand from manganese garnet deposits washing down nearby hills. Most vibrant after rainfall, it features a keyhole rock formation creating spectacular sunset light shows during certain seasons. Fact 32. The largest temperature swing in 24 hours happened in Montana Loma. Montana saw temperatures rocket from -54 degrees Fahrenheit to 49 degrees Fahrenheit, a record 103-degree swing, in just 24 hours. The culprits were Chinook winds, warm downslope currents that regularly cause 40 to 50-degree fluctuations in Rocky Mountain states. Fact 31. America has its own version of the Dead Sea. Utah's Great Salt Lake has salinity levels up to 27%, nearly 8 times saltier than the ocean, letting swimmers float effortlessly. With no outlet, minerals accumulate through evaporation, creating an extreme ecosystem where only specialized microorganisms survive. Fact 30. America's oldest mountain is not in the Rockies or Appalachians. Maine's Mount Katahdin formed roughly 400 million years ago, predating even the Appalachians. This solitary 5,269-foot granite peak has resisted erosion while surrounding mountains weathered away, earning its Penobscot name meaning the greatest mountain. Fact 29. A giant sheet of salt covers 30,000 acres in New Mexico. White Sands National Park features the world's largest gypsum dune field. 275 square miles of brilliant white that stays cool despite desert heat. With no drainage outlet, dissolved gypsum remains trapped and crystallizes, creating a landscape so unique that local animals evolved white coloration. Fact 28. America has a volcano that erupted with the force of 1,000 atomic bombs. Mount St. Helens' 1980 eruption packed 1,600 Hiroshima bombs worth of energy, obliterating 230 square miles of forest and reducing the mountain by 1,312 feet. Despite this devastation, the ecosystem has staged a remarkable recovery, becoming a living laboratory for scientists. Fact 27. Point Roberts requires traveling through Canada to reach the rest of the U.S. Point Roberts, Washington is an American exclave accessible only through Canada or by boat. Created by the 49th parallel border, residents, including schoolchildren who cross daily, must pass through 2 international checkpoints to reach mainland USA. Fact 26. There's a town where you can walk between 4 states. At Four Corners Monument, you can stand in Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona simultaneously, the only place where 4 U.S. states intersect. Though modern surveys suggest the actual point may be 1,800 feet away, Congress officially recognizes this marker as the legal boundary. And that's just the beginning. Stay tuned. The next 25 mind-blowing U.S. geography facts are coming soon. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.